Tonight, opting out.
When a consumer declines a specific coverage, that means that they introduce a new exposure.
New rules for auto insurance and the potential risks when paying less. Plus, a rural house fire fought under tough conditions. One firefighter ending up in hospital with heat exhaustion.
Good to report that he's doing a lot better.
And the future of home building.
We need to add supply. With supply comes choice. With choice comes affordability.
The latest plan to spur construction in London.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Ontario's auto insurance rules are changing, giving drivers the choice of opting out of certain coverage types. That could mean savings on monthly premiums, but as Brian Bicknell reports, that could also lead to bigger expenses down the road.
If you don't want it, you don't have to pay for it when it comes to some types of coverage on your auto insurance.
It costs near $3,000 a year it's costing me. I'm just wondering because it's my age or what, so it's something I'd look into, yeah.
Under the province's new a la carte style accident benefits model, drivers purchasing a new insurance policy or renewing an existing one can choose whether to opt in for some benefits that used to come standard. These include income replacement, death benefits, and more.
You shouldn't opt out on stuff like that anyway, but I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea.
Rates.ca insurance expert Daniel Ivans says the new model gives drivers choice.
They want more choice around their insurance policy and what coverages they have. So this opens up the window for that conversation. However, on the other side of that, when a consumer declines a specific coverage, that means that they introduce a new exposure into the household. And what consumers are going to need to be aware of is what the implications of having a claim when you needed a coverage but didn't have it could look like.
He says drivers will save an average of 5% or $10 to $20 per month, depending on premiums. Personal injury lawyer Sam Chams cautions that whatever money you save could end up costing you.
They're opting out of, income replacement benefits that if, God forbid, they're in an accident or a collision, that they're not going to get paid their salary.
Also impacted by these changes are non-drivers. Currently, uninsured victims of accidents like pedestrians or cyclists are entitled to the same no-fault benefits as drivers. Those victims now only qualify for the minimum benefits and not the optional coverage. The same for passengers or those who borrow a car and get into an accident.
It's going to force Canadians to settle their cases significantly sooner and at less money, which ultimately is getting pennies on the dollar for the accident that wasn't their fault.
Medical benefits remain mandatory under the new model. The changes take effect July 1st. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Provincial police are launching a road safety campaign responding to a recent rise in fatalities on the road. With more on their increased presence through the rest of the week and what they'll be looking for, here's Brent Lale.
Sir, it's Canada Day long weekend campaign. We're making sure you're wearing your life-saving equipment.
Stationed on the edge of Port Stanley today, Elgin OPP were making sure drivers were complying with seatbelt laws. It's all part of a life-saving blitz aimed at combating a rise in fatalities.
Been doing this for 26 years, and obviously more people are wearing them than they did back when I started. Okay, sir, just get you to pull over here. I need your driver's license, ownership insurance. But there are still lots of people who are not wearing them, whether it's for inconvenience reasons or they just don't think it's going to happen to them and they're in a rush and they don't. But it doesn't take much to put your seatbelt on.
They were also looking for impaired and distracted drivers as well as speeders in an area which is known to see drivers entering and exiting the village well over the posted speed limit. This safety campaign is not only happening on the roads, but also on waterways across the province.
Hi there, just want to make sure you've got all your stuff before you head out.
Making sure that we had our life jackets. We were both wearing them. Our paddles, our billage, our floating line. Making sure that we had no alcohol on board. And yeah, that was it. Just making sure we were safe and ready to operate. And it's easier just to forget, honestly. It's just one of them things. You're all ready. You're excited to go out on the water. And yeah, whoops, I forgot my fire extinguisher or something.
2 vests you got
Show them
there?
the life jackets.
Expect to see our vessel out on the water this weekend. We will be out stopping boats and making sure that you have all your equipment with you. Don't be surprised if you get pulled over because you are speeding, you're not wearing a seatbelt. Maybe you've had too much to drink. Our efforts are to keep you safe.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Several more days of intense heat are expected in our region as well as other parts of central Canada. With more on the warnings in place and the health risks they pose, here's John Venevalley-Rao.
In downtown Toronto, the oven is now on full blast.
It's pretty hot, pretty hot.
This fan is like slightly cooling me, but not really.
Some people doing what they can to protect themselves from heat that officials say can be dangerous.
Everybody's susceptible to this heat. It's not, there's no exception to it.
In much of southern Ontario, Environment Canada issuing an orange warning, saying highs, not including humidity, will be between 34 and 37 Celsius over the next few days.
When the duration exceeds 3 days, we can consider, if the impact is sufficient, we go to an orange warning. And so this is what we're expecting for this week.
Civic Center hours in Toronto are being extended to provide a cool place to shelter, and some pools are being kept open later, with little relief at night. Overnight lows forecast to get down to just 24 or 25 Celsius. That's 8 degrees above normal.
It's going to be warmer tomorrow. I'm on a motorcycle tomorrow, so I'm riding east where it's cooler. Hopefully it's going to cool down.
There are also heat warnings in southern Quebec, along with concerns about the most vulnerable.
We're talking about the elderly, people with chronic diseases, people who are taking certain types of medication, especially for mental health conditions. We know that those people are going to be at risk after a couple of days of this kind of heat.
The advice Environment Canada believes is worth repeating. Drink water often, schedule outdoor activities during the coolest parts of the day, and never leave people, especially children or pets, inside a parked vehicle. For those planning to take part in Canada Day events outdoors, it may be challenging. Meanwhile, forecasters say while it will be close, Canada Day heat records are not likely to fall in most places tomorrow, with the exception of Windsor, which may break the record for the day. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Meanwhile, a Canada Day celebration at the East Lyons Community Centre tomorrow has been cancelled because of the heat. That event had been organized by the Optimist Club of East London and the Argyle BIA. Meanwhile, city officials say their celebrations at Harris Park are still good to go. Those festivities begin at 6 p.m., including family-friendly entertainment, food trucks, and the city's annual fireworks display.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. We are in that orange warning, heat warning, implying that 31 degrees Celsius sustained for 3 days straight or higher, with lows in the 21 degrees Celsius range or higher for 3 days. And we think that this will be extended through to at least Friday. Today's daytime temperatures hovering around 34 degrees Celsius and 34 feeling closer to about 43. I'm anticipating a minimal chance of seeing any significant rainfall in the next 24 to 48 hours, call it 72 hours, which means we're going to see things starting to deteriorate, in particular air quality, and of course vegetation is under duress, and so are we. I'll break down what you need to know as we look ahead to Sunday, Monday, where we could see a bit of temperature relief. It's coming up shortly. For now, I'll send it back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Gary. Emergency responders say a firefighter is in hospital tonight after a house fire near Strathroy. Sean Irvin has more on the efforts to get the flames under control and the damage left behind.
The destroyed core of a large home southwest of Strathroy serves as a poignant reminder of a blaze that quickly spread. The charred residence sits on Napier Line near the community of Kerwood. Firefighters rushed here around 12:30 a.m. Monday.
Smoke coming out of all windows and a lot of flames through the middle of the house.
The property owner had called in the fire after returning to his residence. No one else was inside. The first crews on scene determined it was unsafe to enter.
Sent a group in to attack it and found that the floor was compromised just inside the door, so we backed out and we had to fight the fire from the outside.
It would take over 4 hours to bring the fire under control. Additional firefighters from Strathroy, Glencoe, Watford, and Elvinston were called in.
The intense heat caused by the fire combined with the warm outside temperatures made for difficult firefighting conditions, and one firefighter was overcome.
Ended up going to the hospital for heat exhaustion, and good to report that he's doing a lot better.
The fire is believed to have ignited in the center of the home. Off camera, the property owner expressed gratitude to firefighters despite the substantial damage figure.
It's about $750,000, my guessing, and the house is a total write-off.
Near Kerwood, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Provincial police say 6 people were taken to hospital today after a crash in North Middlesex involving a pickup truck and a sedan. They have not disclosed the severity of any injuries. According to OPP, Centre Road will remain closed between Elginfield and Nairn Roads during their investigation. City officials have agreed to participate in the federal government's housing design catalog. As Daryl Newcomb reports, it's meant to speed up new home construction and bring prices down.
You should be able to afford to live in the community that you're a part of.
We want to make sure that we build homes that everybody can afford.
Local members of parliament announcing that London has joined other municipalities in utilizing the federal housing design catalog. The catalog features 50 standardized home designs specifically tailored to meet the needs of 7 different regions across Canada. The pre-approved designs in Ontario include some accessory dwellings, 4plexes, a 6plex, and 2 stacked townhouses.
The people who build in London build in other communities as well. So this makes things simple, it makes things fast.
Having architectural drawings pre-approved in London can shave weeks off the process of getting the green light from City Hall to begin construction.
4plex or a 6plex, it could save like 15 to 20 days because we know that these drawings and these submissions have already addressed any kind of problems and issues, so we know that they're ready to go. So we can do those under 10 days.
They still have to meet the zoning. They still have to meet the existing setbacks on that zoning, and any sort of additional permissions that would be required for those would still have to go through the standard council process.
The catalog was inspired by post-war housing efforts from the 1940s to 1970s. The modern designs are said to prioritize energy efficiency, accessibility, and livability.
We're talking about homes here, and the catalog can help in that. We need to add supply. With supply comes choice. With choice comes affordability.
This is going to help them meet their housing targets. The goal is to have more affordable housing in a very speedy way.
A link to the housing design catalog can be found on the city's website. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Police in the Maritimes say they've recovered hundreds of stolen steel outdoor power products taken from a London business earlier this year. RCMP released this image, which they say shows about $20,000 worth of stolen products. However, that's a fraction of the nearly $650,000 in total value of the items initially reported stolen. According to police, they were tipped off by officials with steel who had spotted the products at 4 retailers in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, and they're now trying to find out how they got there. Representatives for prison guards in Ontario are asking for help responding to a coroner's report highlighting a rise in suicide among correctional workers. The report found 34 correctional workers died by suicide in the past 15 years, half of whom died between 2020 and 2024. There are more than 24 recommendations in the report aimed at improving worker health in provincial and federal institutions. A spokesperson for the Ontario Public Service Employees Union described the situation as an emergency, calling for unlimited mental health benefits for guards. Ontario's education minister is telling parents not to pull their kids from class to participate in sports events ahead of new attendance rules going into effect. Attendance will count for between 10 and 15% of a student's grade starting in September. If they have more than 2 unexcused absences, they will not be able to get full marks. Those absences are usually for illnesses or religious occasions, but some students can get excused on Fridays for a weekend sports tournament. According to the education minister, Minister that should be discouraged, stating that that single day in school should take a higher priority. However, he also says accommodations could be made for certain high-level athletes. A former Windsor resident who now lives in Northern Ontario recently expressed some homesickness online. In particular, his taste for Windsor-style pizza, something he says he's been missing. Robert Lothian has more on the community response to get this man his pie.
What began as a harmless social media post by a former Windsorite living in Sault Ste. Marie asking for a take on a Windsor pizza joint.
Windsor pizza is like the best in the world, you know, and so of course I was missing that.
Quickly became a community effort to help someone in need. Windsor Food Spotters creator Sean Risk offering to deliver the pizza to Sault Ste. Marie if his post received 519 likes, a nod to Windsor's area code.
So I think in an hour it hit like 1,000. And I said, well, it's time for me to go and deliver a pizza to Sault Ste. Marie.
That's when the story took a turn.
He said, you know, man, I appreciate you reaching out. It's crazy timing. I'm in Sudbury right now with my family. My father underwent a 15-hour-long surgery.
Dallas's father, Chris, is receiving care in Sudbury after a major surgery for a rare form of cancer.
He's the best father I could have ever asked for.
Touched by their battle, Risk put a call out on social media.
Once I did, the entire city rallied behind it. And then from the moment I made that post, 48 hours after, I spent the entire time bouncing from business to business.
Filled coolers, gift baskets, pictures, nearly $1,000 in gift cards, and more. Windsor Essex businesses donating goods, no questions asked. On Sunday, Risk drove everything to Sudbury to meet Dallas and his family.
I appreciate it. Being able to alleviate that stress off and that burden off of their shoulders meant the world to them. And, you know, it was good to see. And having the city of Windsor rally behind me was an incredible feeling.
Risk drove Dallas back to Sault Ste. Marie, capping off several days his family will never forget.
We couldn't have, I don't think we could have done this without like all of this. This is too much. Like it's so helpful. They're so happy.
And so after a social media craze, several hours on the road, and some new friends along the way, Dallas finally got his pizza.
Dude, pizza was killer, dude.
Robert Lothian, CTV News.
When we come back, Canada's energy ambitions may come at the expense of environmental goals. How the federal government is reframing the climate crisis. Plus, free trade negotiations about to begin in earnest with the future of Canada's economy on the table. Welcome back. The Prime Minister published a public address today on YouTube calling the current climate crisis part of a broader energy crisis in Canada. He also acknowledged when it comes to meeting environmental targets, Canada is falling behind. With more, here's Mike Lecouture.
The certainties of the world to 2015 are long gone.
It's a sobering message about fighting climate change from Prime Minister Mark Carney. While saying the climate plan he inherited was well-intentioned for the time, Carney doesn't believe it fits today's realities.
The changes we have made will mean that our emissions will be higher in the next few years than they were projected to be under the previous government's plan. But in my judgment, that plan was not sustainable over the long term.
Now, that plan was to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 40 to 45% of 2005 levels by the year 2030. While still committed to lowering emissions, Carney did not set a new target for that goal.
We're already paying the price for that in terms of record heat, record temperatures in Canada and around the world.
Carney has rolled back a number of Trudeau-era climate policies, which the Prime Minister called an open opportunity to divide the country. In his first act as Prime Minister, Carney cancelled the consumer carbon tax. He also paused the federal mandate on electric vehicle sales, moves that pushed former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault to leave the Liberals.
We're putting our foot off the gas when it comes to fighting climate change.
Carney also signed a deal with Alberta, paving the way for a new pipeline to be built to BC's coast. The Prime Minister says it's part of a larger energy plan that includes LNG exports and doubling Canada's electricity grid by 2050.
It will make Canada more sustainable, more affordable, and more prosperous.
A spokesperson for Premier Daniel Smith tells CTV News there will be a major announcement and new details to share about that new pipeline on Thursday. And Carney confirmed today there isn't a private proponent for the project yet. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Tomorrow marks the deadline to renew the North American Free Trade Deal 6 years after it was signed. It's something Canadian and Mexican officials have expressed interest in, but not the U.S. president. And as Abigail Beeman reports, there's little expectation of any major progress anytime soon.
The Prime Minister downplaying expectations for July 1st, the deadline for countries to decide if they want to renew the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Free Trade Deal.
We're expecting, a constructive exchange. I wouldn't expect any drama tomorrow. I'm not looking for my pen.
While most trade watchers aren't expecting the U.S. to announce its intention to withdraw, the president has not been clear.
I would rather not have the agreement, but I may sign it. Right. But we do better as a country if we don't have an agreement.
So are you thinking of?
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe we won't be able to make a deal. I would rather not have the USMCA.
If any party doesn't agree to renew, it will trigger an annual review for the next decade.
I think the most likely outcome is going to be that discussions continue and we continue to try to find some kind of accommodation on these issues.
Canada's chief negotiator for the original CUSMA told a BMO audience he doesn't expect a deal in the near term, with a possible window around the November midterms.
There's a possibility for it to come together, but I think it's more likely that the discussions will continue beyond the midterms and possibly even into next year.
Steve Verhoeven and others say the key issue is separate from the CUSMA deadline: what happens with tariffs.
We haven't been able to get the United States to drop all of these additional tariffs that it has imposed on Canada and that are actually really devastating to a large number of Canadian businesses currently.
Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. will meet virtually tomorrow, with our country represented by Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A new poll is shedding light on Canadian perceptions of our own country ahead of Canada Day. The Liaison Strategies poll found 80% of respondents say they're very or somewhat proud to be Canadian. When asked about the direction our country is heading, 44% described themselves as proud but worried. About a third said they feel optimistic. Nearly three-quarters of Liberal respondents said they're proud of the country, compared to about 45% of Conservatives and New Democrats. The random phone survey of more than 1,500 people is considered accurate within 2.5 percentage points, 19 times out of 20. Joined now by Gary Archibald. And Gary, earlier in the newscast, you hinted that cooler temperatures could be on the way by, it sounds like, Sunday, Monday, although it sounded like you're maybe hesitant to use the word cooler temperatures because I don't know if they're going to be, that much cooler.
Relatively,
yeah.
I think, yes, relatively speaking. But you're right. Towards the weekend, now technically the first day of the week is Sunday. Sunday into Monday, we may be in that upper 20s, 28, 29 range, possibly. And that would be more seasonal for this time of the year. Today reached a high between 33, 34, depending on where you've been. Within the city limits, obviously 8 degrees above the average. The lows have been in the low 20s, technically between midnight before dawn, early in the mornings, and that will be the case tonight, technically tomorrow morning. Canada Day, 32 at the airport, a bit hazy. Air quality is decent. But thank goodness for that, because we do have a bit of a breeze out of the southwest. It feels like 42. It's felt as warm as 44. It feels, on average, right now across southern Ontario proper, like about 41. That's an amalgam of everything you see here on this map. Those winds of the southwest sustained at around 25 to 30, with gusts in that 30 to 40 range for the great city of London through to about 11 p.m. So, not bad. It could be worse if the air was stagnant, really not moving anywhere, just sitting over the lower Great Lakes Basin. We would have an additional problem. That would be, of course, the air quality itself, and it could deteriorate into next week, but at least will be a bit cooler. Showers and thunderstorms have been the story across northern central Ontario, and we'll see second and third waves over the next 24 to 48 hours. Most of southern Ontario stays quiet tonight into tomorrow. I think Canada Day through the midwestern tier of southern Ontario actually sees a bit of a clearing. There's a slight risk, I'm going to say well less than Environment Canada's 40% projection earlier today, of thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon in London, Goderich, Sarnia, further north towards, say, Southampton along the eastern shores of Lake Huron, Mount Forest. Listowel is in that as well. Gear up for high UV and looking at a sunny day. Tonight is warm. It's warm right now. It'll be warm through to clearing at midnight. At midnight, 25 degrees Celsius, feels like 33 or 34. That would be a daytime high at this time of the year normally. Canada Day, happy Canada Day to you and yours. I'm very proud to be a Canadian, and I think most of us are too. So we will see some more sunshine on Thursday. Still 34, feels like about 43. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, increasing cloudiness. Here's where the temperatures start to slide down the scale. And we'll look at upper 20s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We need the rains. A lot of the vegetation, look at your lawns, your gardens, somewhat distressed unless you've been watering them. Of course, there's cost with that. Midwest, looking at maybe some showers. I don't think Wednesday afternoon you'll see increasing cloudiness. Thursday, Friday, more likely. Still warm enough to be in the heat wave. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, a relative cooling Carlyle is underway. 25 a week from today will be a good golf day for everyone involved. That's a look at your weather.
All right, Gary, thanks very much. Coming up, the hottest World Cup ticket might be in Toronto right now, while resale demand in Vancouver plummets now that Canada have flown south. And later in the newscast, it's Behind the Likes with Lauren Stallone. What are we talking about this week, Lauren?
We're talking about one of my favorite things, flowers, and a local flower shop that's going viral.
All right, stay with us. That's later on in the newscast. Gas prices are expected to rise starting tomorrow. According to energy analysts, prices across southern Ontario will climb about 5 cents a litre at midnight, bringing the average price to about $1.65 a litre. Diesel is also expected to increase by about 6 cents, roughly $1.86 a litre. Toronto's final World Cup match is Thursday, and it's one of the most hotly anticipated contests of the entire round between Portugal and Croatia. Meanwhile, Canada are preparing for their next opponents, another chance at history when they take on Morocco in Houston Saturday. For more, here's Adrian Gabriel.
History etched once again.
A shootout stunner now has Morocco on a World Cup collision course with Canada.
Football is everything in Morocco.
From Montreal to Toronto, all the way to Vancouver, by the thousands, Moroccans in Canada have been celebrating the old country. For Moroccan Canadian Amin Asnoussi, his family's allegiances heading into this Saturday's match are divided.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. I mean, we love both teams. We love both countries. I've asked the question at home, and my daughters were like, oh, we might be cheering for Canada.
Meanwhile, Toronto Stadium is preparing to host two frenetic football fan bases for an epic round of 32 clash between Croatia and Portugal.
Both communities, both countries, and to see an epic match between Ronaldo and Modric
knowing that it is likely the final match in a national team jersey for one of them.
And tickets to get into Toronto Stadium this Thursday have spiked ever since the game between the two soccer titans was confirmed. According to Ticket Data, a website that tracks prices, the cheapest seat is roughly $2,600 Canadian. Portuguese community bars and cafes across the country are also expected to cash in while ensuring fans stay hydrated.
You expect that to be like just a dream, but now as reality is coming over here to Toronto to play a major tournament like a World Cup.
The dream of Canada playing its knockout games on Canadian soil have come and gone. Now that Canada has flown south for the remainder of the World Cup, so have resale ticket prices at Vancouver's BC Place. The cheapest seat to Switzerland's game against Algeria is roughly $580, a 30% drop over the last 3 days. One thing that will likely remain unchanged during this World Cup are scenes like this on Canadian streets. A Moroccan musician singing and dancing, accompanied by a group of Mexican fans, as cowboy hat wearing, maple leaf flag waving Canadians join in on the celebration of life and sport.
And that really is the beauty of this tournament. Allegiances may be divided, but unity is also afoot as the dreams of many nations captivate fans here in Canada and across the world. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Officials with WhatsApp have announced plans to address what they call a privacy blind spot. They say users will soon have the option to go by their username instead of their phone number. They say the change would mean someone would need to know your username or they wouldn't be able to initiate contact. No timeline for that change has been provided, though. Beyond a suggestion, it would happen in the coming months. The financial and base metal sectors helped boost Canada's main stock index today. The TSX gained 33 points. In New York, the Dow added 136, the Nasdaq up 394. The Canadian dollar is down a modest 0.02 cents. On commodity markets, gold lost 40 cents an ounce. Oil fell $1.25 a barrel. When we come back, two communities, one city, Toronto, preparing for a World Cup heavyweight fight between Portugal and Croatia. Welcome back. Returning now to the upcoming Croatia-Portugal match in Toronto, where the hype is building. As Sean Leathong reports, it could be the tournament's marquee matchup for the entire round of 32.
The final World Cup match to be played in Toronto is saving the biggest and best for last. Portugal versus Croatia, two prominent soccer nations with deep ties here in the city.
It's going to be mayhem. There's a Croatian song called Neopisivo, undescribable. It is the best word to describe what will happen Thursday here in Toronto.
Ivan Gerbesic with the Croatian Chamber of Commerce says the first match Croatia played in Toronto last week, where 10,000 fans crowded the streets, was just a warm-up.
We are proud to announce that we will reopen Croatia House for Thursday for a pre-party as well as a watch party.
Soccer heavyweights Cristiano Ronaldo and Luka Modric bring the star power to match the fan power that's already here.
Both communities, both countries, and to see an epic match between Ronaldo and Modric, knowing that it is likely the final match in a national team jersey for one of them.
In Little Portugal, the bell rings inside Amigos de Dundas for every Portuguese goal. Owner Miguel da Silva says while his bar will be packed, this match will be like nothing we've ever seen.
It's like something you expect that to be like just a dream, but now as reality is coming over here to Toronto to play a major tournament like a World Cup.
Across the street at Lula, bartender Diego Regalado is taking inventory. He says, look out if Portugal wins.
I think it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna go crazy. I think they're gonna take over the streets. So don't take your car out that day because I think you're gonna be stuck in traffic.
But above all, it'll be a celebration and an historic moment for all fans.
It is an undescribable feeling, and it's something that will likely never happen again.
But those fans will have to wait just a couple more days. Sean Leathong, CTV News, Toronto.
There's been so much attention on Canada's men's soccer team, but our men's basketball team is actually about to hit the world stage as well. With more on their World Cup qualifying preparations, here's Mike Walker.
Back
Back on home soil, Canada's men's senior team opening training camp in Toronto as the road to the FIBA World Cup continues. The national team led by NBA champion and two-time MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Playing for your country is something I dreamed about as a kid, and being able to have the opportunity to do so, I just choose the opportunity to do so every single time. It's that simple for me.
The Hamilton native named team captain, a role he will share with the Phoenix Suns star Dylan Brooks.
I think he's very unrattled, and that's why he's our captain of our team, super composed, knows the game.
Brooks and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are among the notable NBA stars among the 16 players on the roster for the next set of qualifying games. Canada has dominated the FIBA qualifiers so far, undefeated in 4 games and sitting in first place in its group.
They're already in the driver's seat. All Canada really has to do is hold serve here. They've certainly got the talent to do it.
The goal is to reach the podium, building on the success of the 2023 World Cup that saw Canada defeat the U.S. in the bronze medal game, its best finish ever.
The vision is gold, World Cup, Olympics.
The new head coach looking to build a foundation requiring a 3-year commitment from the players.
We have a group of elite individuals and a lot of players who can impact the game in different ways. But first and foremost, we need to create a team mentality. It just doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time.
Canada will play its next 2 games of the qualifiers at TD Coliseum in Hamilton, starting on Friday against Puerto Rico and then July 6 against Jamaica.
Playing at home and playing in front of the home crowd is something you definitely want to do.
We very rarely get opportunities to play in our country.
But hundreds of tickets remain unsold, prompting the team's GM to make an appeal to fans.
We need to fill the stadium, right? There's players here that want something for their country, and their country has to want it for them too.
The TD Coliseum announcing today it will debut a court in honor of Gilgeous-Alexander at the World Cup qualifiers it's hosting. Mike Walker, CTV News.
The Toronto Raptors are reportedly on the verge of bringing back Kawhi Leonard. According to multiple reports, the Raptors are sending back 2 players and a substantial haul of draft picks, reuniting with Leonard, who helped the Raptors win their first and only NBA championship in 2019. Leonard actually just turned 35 years old yesterday, but he's coming off a season where he averaged a career-high 28 points per game while making the All-NBA second team. A young baseball card collector has turned a lucky pack into a life-changing payday. His rare pull went up for auction, netting tens of thousands of dollars. With more, here's CNN's Patrick Cornell.
9-year-old Mason Dean and his dad visit a card shop every month hunting for their top players.
We normally just look around and, if I feel lucky, we normally get a pack.
On a recent trip, they struck gold, unwrapping an autographed rookie card from Chicago White Sox infielder Munetaka Murakami.
I was like, this is crazy.
Deciding to cash in on their good fortune, reportedly auctioning the card for almost $75,000. And what's a 9-year-old to do with all that money?
I wanted to buy more cards, then some of it I wanted to give V-Bucks.
Not so fast, my friend. Dad has other ideas.
If you can take the value of it as is and put it towards the college fund, that's what we opted to do.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
All right, friends, this is Noodles. Noodles is the best 11-year-old pug Jack Russell mix. He is so sweet. Here, thanks to Happy's Place, an incredible rescue, found him as a stray. He was just dumped in the wild. He was scooped up and, again, went to the vet, went to a neurologist. They figured he had a spinal injury, and that's why he was dumped. But since has a clean bill of health, he can walk again. He's not in pain. He's totally healthy. He gets along with everyone and everything. I mean, look at his face, right? Like, he is so genuinely sweet. And again, he's healthy, he's happy, he just wants the forever family to love him so much. Give him all the toys, all the snuggles, and the walks too. So if you're interested in sweet noodles here, you can check out Happy's Place. And sweet noodles could be going home with you, right? You wanna go find your home? You wanna go find your home? Can I have kisses? Oh!
If you're interested in adopting, visit happysplace.ca for more information.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thank you, Mauro, for this moonrise image. Lovely, but not so lovely. The high heat and humidity, the combination of the two, will likely be a big part of the story for Canada Day and beyond, perhaps extended into the upcoming weekend wherever you are. Try to take it easy, stay cool, and stay hydrated.
Ontario has become the first province to fund a new drug fighting colorectal cancer. As Pauline Chan reports, it's not considered a cure, but it could provide patients valuable time.
The new drug, encorafenib, or Braftovi, is only for a small group of patients.
It's specifically for patients in this situation with metastatic colorectal cancer who have this specific BRAF V600E mutation.
Dr. Shakil Kazam says the drug targets the switch in cells that causes tumors to grow.
We can use that, and in combination with cetuximab and chemotherapy, it actually shuts off that light switch. Now, it doesn't shut it off forever.
Median survival goes up from 15 months with just chemo to 30 months when used in combination.
Improve both their quantity of life, but not only that, their quality of life. There's no point in prolonging patients' lives and have them suffer during that time. So we need efficacious, well-tolerated treatments.
And it's not just time with family.
And when that stops working or it becomes intolerable for them, then we switch to a different one, and then a different one, and then a different one. And as that time frame increases, that allows our colleagues who are researching colorectal cancer to come up with new treatments.
I had early onset of metastatic colon cancer to liver and lungs starting in 1995.
Barry Stein had to go to the U.S. for special surgery.
Also, one of the treatments that I required called hepatic arterial infusion to give chemo directly to my liver was not available in Canada.
But despite being given just a 15% chance of survival, he is now cancer-free 3 decades later. But he recalls the anxiety he felt when he learned treatment for his particular cancer was not offered in Canada.
It's certainly a roller coaster, and when you're living with metastatic, cancer, every month counts.
That's why he values Ontario's FAST program, which has just made Braftovi available for eligible patients in this province. But it's not yet in other provinces, and he says identifying patients with the right genetic makeup is the first step. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Federal health officials have approved Canada's first generic version of the weight loss drug Wegovy. Svimia is now authorized as a once-a-week injection. It was developed by Canadian pharmaceutical company Apotex. It's prescribed for chronic weight management for people aged 12 and older as a supplement for a reduced calorie diet and increased physical activity. It's the first drug of its kind approved by Health Canada, which is currently reviewing 6 other submissions. Officials in Ottawa say the federal government is going to match up to $4 million in public donations for Venezuela after last week's deadly earthquakes. That covers up to $2 million in donations to the Canadian Red Cross and the same amount for donations to the Canadian Humanitarian Coalition. The death toll in Venezuela has now cleared 1,900, with thousands more injured. About 16,000 people have been displaced, with estimates indicating nearly 60,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. Mount Etna in Italy is lighting up the Sicilian sky. Lava gushed from an eruptive vent at an altitude of about 3,000 meters last night. Etna is Europe's largest volcano, and according to Italy's Civil Protection Department, its activity is typically characterized by episodic eruptions, lava flows, and ash emissions. 2 NASA astronauts conducted a spacewalk today, repairing a joint on the International Space Station's Canadian-made robotic arm.
I see you've got your tether in a good config. I see it not tangled with anything. And I see your VR key is good. You look like you're in a good config.
The spacewalk began just after 8 a.m. Eastern Time. According to NASA, the 90-kilogram wrist joint on the Canadarm2 malfunctioned back in May. The Canadarm2 arrived at the International Space Station in 2001, and it's nearly as old as the station itself. And on the other side of the break, Lauren Stallone's back with me because it is Behind the Likes, and this week we're talking about a local business that's gone viral recently.
Flowers. Do you have a favorite flower?
You put me on the spot, and I don't have one for you. But maybe I'll learn after this segment.
Okay, perfect.
That's coming up. Stay with us. Welcome Welcome back. It's Behind the Likes with Lauren Stallone. And this week, Lauren, we're talking about a local business that has grown out of its viral roots. Those puns very much intended.
That's right. It's a local flower shop that's going viral. And like you said, Carlyle, she started out of her home, and then due to the positive response that she saw on social media, she was encouraged by customers to open up their very first storefront. So they're going viral because of the uniqueness of the bouquets and the really colorful arrangements. I first saw this on my For You page, and it instantly caught my attention. They also incorporate some unique techniques to their designs. So I went down to the shop in downtown London on Richmond Street to get her opinion on this viral videos and her response seeing her videos go viral.
We didn't expect that because we're like, okay, we're just gonna post on TikTok so that if our customer look for us, maybe on like social media, they will know like how the bouquets look like, how we present our flowers and our style, but we didn't expect it to go viral. So we were so excited to see that.
She's so sweet. She told me actually that she's from Vietnam, and that's where she learned how to put together these bouquets, and incorporated the unique techniques that she learned there at her home, and then has brought them over to London. So she starts off by kind of taking off some of the greenery, and what's really unique about this bouquet is that it uses a technique called a spiraling technique that actually allows the stems to stand up all on their own. And something else that's really different from this flower shop as opposed to others is that they use, you'll notice, really dainty and whimsical flowers. Anything that you'd see in a fairy tale or in a fairy garden, anything like that is kind of what they include. So we have the bouquet here.
This is the finished product.
That's
we just
exactly
saw her
right.
making.
You saw the process, and now this is the outcome, and it looks absolutely beautiful.
You used the word whimsical, and I can't think of a better word for it right now.
Especially these ones right here, right? You would look like a little fairy could live in those.
Well, you know, and before the break, you asked me what my favorite flower was, and I would say from an aesthetic purpose, I can't really name them, but there's such a great history between Canada and the tulip. Back to our history in the Second World War with the Netherlands. I just think that's a great story. And when you see all those tulips, all the different colors, that's what came to mind as I was thinking. I was like, do I have a favorite flower? That's the closest I can come, because I think it's a cool story.
Yeah, I would say mine is probably the peonies here in the front. They're just beautiful, but a lot of them hold that history, like you mentioned. So.
Sure. All right, and thanks, Lauren. That is Behind the Likes for us, and thank you for watching for all of us at CTV News London. I'm back tonight with your 11 o'clock news. Bye for now.